Welcome on into today's Phillies game recap as we're looking at last night's Phillies victory, and not just a victory. It is they complete the sweep against Cincinnati Reds, winning 4-0 in this one. And look, we have to iterate throughout these game recaps against the Reds that it is the Cincinnati Reds who are 48-75 on the season. They're not a good baseball team. We do know this, but you like seeing some of the performances by the role players stepping up big and bringing the victories here. You had a lot of bats, especially in the latter part of the lineup, really step up and provide the offense. And I'm looking at Edmundo Sosa. He provided a lot of he provided 75% of the Phillies runs here tonight, and he was just getting on base at the in the cleanup spot of the lineup here. But despite all of that, despite the role players really stepping up in a big way here tonight, it really was about Aaron Nola, who was on freaking fire. A complete performance, a shutout performance as well for Mr. Aaron Nola, and everything was working for Mr. Nola. The dude was McCarthy mentioned vintage Aaron Nola. I mean, quite literally, it was vintage Aaron Nola. I mean, there was a time period where Nola would walk on the mound and it just looked like a rock star up there. You knew he was about to give you at least close to double digit, if not double digit strikeouts. He was not going to give into any trouble. He might allow a couple hits here and there. Obviously things have changed a little bit, but that was a really good performance. And I know, again, it was the Cincinnati Reds, but at the end of the day, guys, when you're going up against these teams that are much lesser than you want to take care of them. You want to put them away. And the Phillies swept the Reds. I mean, we were killing them for not doing it last week in Cincinnati. Well, they did it in Philadelphia this week, and they were all solid performances. And I think more importantly, the fact that you do not have to rely on some of your big bats in the lineup, you're able to rest some guys. And obviously, we had some news today that we'll get to in a second. I think that's a win. That is definitely a win. And as we continue talking about this baseball team heading closer to playoff time, and the Phillies still in a wild card spot, they're in a good spot right now. You want us to continue seeing this team getting these performances together, building up that confidence and getting ready for the playoffs. It's looking fun right now in the NL. There are some wacky things going on that we'll get to in a second as well. But a win's a win, right? Get the brooms out, ladies and gentlemen. Get those damn brooms out. Real quick before I continue, if you guys are new to this and you guys enjoy this content, do me the solid by hitting the like button and make sure you guys are subscribed to be a part of the family. We do talk Philly sports all the time, so don't ever miss out on any of this Philly sports. All right, let's get into this, guys, because you really don't know what to expect in the fourth and final game of this series. I mean, I think a little bit of me was thinking, okay, well, there's going to be a game where we'll lose, and obviously you had the Tuesday night game where the Phillies had to come back of sorts and get the win. I mean, obviously on Monday, the Reds go up early, but it was like a one-run lead, and the Phillies came back and absolutely took that game away. And then, the last two games, including this one, the Phillies really were able to find ways to take control of this baseball game. And in the bottom of the third, with the scoreless game, 2 outs, you get Mr. Schwarber on at the plate, and he knocks one out into to center field. Absolutely destroys this one. This is like the type of home run you were seeing Kyle Schwarber earlier on in the summertime. June Schwarber, that was very June Schwarber like, and that one gave him his 35th home run of the year, putting him back in the lead of the NL in the home run category, and he continues on his tear. And the Phillies go up at 2-0. In the bottom of the fifth, this is where Edmundo Sosa would begin his tear of sorts, with Bradley Zimmer with Garrett Stubbs on third base and Bradley Zimmer on first base. Edmundo Sosa would come up to bat with 1 out, and he would hit a sacrifice fly to center field. And TJ Friedl, what is that noodle arm you have? I'm sorry. I had to say, it was an absolute terrible throw. But regardless, I mean, Garrett Stubbs was going to score from third base, but that was just an absolute terrible throw. But Edmundo Sosa gets his first RBI. Now the Phillies are up 2-0. Aaron Nola is wheeling and dealing as we're speaking through this game. And then we head on over to the bottom of the seventh inning where you had 1 out, and then you get Matt Vierling on base with a single, Bradley Zimmer on base with the single, Edmundo Sosa comes up to bat. And this one was interesting as Edmundo Sosa hits a ground ball to center field. and he was able to bring in Matty V and Bradley Zimmer. That was some great base running from Bradley Zimmer, coming all the way from first to home plate off of a single up to center field, and again TJ Friedel with his legit freaking noodle arm, and it was absolutely terrible. So a 4-0 lead here for the Philadelphia Phillies, and that would do it. As in the bottom of the ninth, top of the ninth, Aaron Nola got in a little bit of trouble. I mean, he did allow 2 hits, but he did get 2 strikeouts. And Arcidius Aquino would ground out, and that would put it that would do it. I'm sorry, as the Phillies with a complete shutout by Aaron Nola would get the 4-0 victory to sweep the Cincinnati Reds. And again, this is not a good baseball team. There was the I have not seen a worse. And the thing is that there are Major League Baseball players on that roster. Like, I'm looking at their roster. Aquino's still pretty young, but that dude is going to be special. And it's obviously, I don't think it's going to be in Cincinnati. I do see him being some sort of a trade piece, but what a great glove. What a great arm out in the outfield. And the bat is getting better. I think his problem, he's a little too aggressive. And I think that he needs to just slow the game down a little bit. He's very fast, and I think that sometimes with the type of players, they allow the game they play the game at that fast pace. But baseball, you gotta play at a slower pace, and so he's pretty talented. I mean, obviously Donovan Solano, my fellow Colombiano, he's a major league player. I mean, he's a veteran player. I mean, I remember watching him with those Miami Marlin teams with JT Realmuto and John Carlos Stanton, Jose Fernandez, may he rest in peace, and Marcelo Osuna, Christian Yelich. He was like a bench piece. He was like a utility second, third baseman that they would bring off the bench, and he's still found a way to stay in the league with the Giants and now with the Reds, and he's a solid piece to have in your dugout. So there are, and I do like Fraley, he did not look the same way that he did in Cincinnati. In Cincinnati, he was killing us. He had 2-3 home runs. But in Philadelphia, completely different story for Mr. Fraley. But I mean, defensively, there's so many lapses with that baseball team, and I really did feel like for the Reds, we were talking about on Wednesday. Justin Dunn really wanted to see what he would look like for the Reds. He's a young kid. Figure we can get to him. He did look good for the most part, but obviously it's tough to contain the Phillies' offense when your defense is not really giving you much of a support, may I say. But there are some Major League Baseball players on that team, but just the Phillies just had way too much firepower. And even having the threat of Schwarber, Hoskins, Castellanos, I mean, obviously the Reds know Castellanos very well. In your lineup, I mean, it really adds a different dimension and a really different thought process to your team in this game. So the Phillies just were able to capitalize on it. But again, I want to emphasize the latter part of the lineup. Your 7, 8, 9 hitters really did a great job here tonight, and you can even throw Garrett Stubbs in there as well. Big part of the 3 RBIs here today. Stubbs 1 for 3, Matty V 1 for 3. You had Bradley Zimmer, which we'll start respecting a little bit more as he gave you a solid game. He was 2 for 3. I need to see some more from the glove from you, Bradley Zimmer, but you are a body, so I don't know what to really expect with you. Edmundo Sosa with a great game, 1 for 2. I'm sorry, with 3 RBIs, and he was the real difference maker in this ball game. He's had a couple games like this where he's providing you offense, and he's providing you offense when you really do need it. And I think the last time he did this was against those Reds, if I'm not mistaken. But even on a day like Wednesday where you're trying to get the offense going, he got the offense going, or I'm sorry, on Tuesday, he got the offense going. And, to the point as well, a lot of people want to see the Phillies absolutely destroy this team. And, we talked about on Wednesday, one thing that really frustrated me is when you had a performance where the bats were getting on base, and that was not the problem. They were 6 for 16 with runners on. I think they left 13 batters on base as well. You cannot be doing that against the Cincinnati Reds. But I do understand it is 1 of 162. You just got to get the win. That's the most important part. The stats are not the least important part about this. But on Tuesday, what really impressed me was the fact that you had young players coming in late into a game and really accelerating you into a victory. Obviously Matty V got that ball game started with his home run in the bottom of the eighth inning or bottom of the seventh inning, and then in the ninth we obviously saw great substitutions by Thompson, subbing in Bryson Stott, subbing in Nick Maton, and it was the difference of that ball game, and you saw how you won. You won the game based off of those great substitutions that you were able to do against them. And again, seeing those young players who at their moment are role players step up and provide you victory. And on Thursday night, you got this same thing. You had guys stepping up, your Matty V's, your Bradley Zimmers, your Edmundo Sosa stepping up and being a big contributor. One thing we talked about it. One thing I really didn't understand was why Johan Camargo was never called up, and they still brought up Edmundo Sosa. At this point, when it comes to those utility infielders, they need to provide an offense. And if you're not providing any type of offense, there's essentially no room for you here in Philadelphia. And Mundo Sosa's got the hot bat right now, so they're going with him. And until that kind of cools off, and obviously Thompson sees something in him, or possibly it's because we traded for him. You gave up. Why am I blank? You gave up Jojo Romero for Edmundo Sosa, and that was a guy that was kindly highly touted here in Philadelphia. Obviously, dealt with his injuries. It was a little bit of a fan favorite, but I think that he was highly regarded within that dugout and within that bullpen. And so, be trading that piece for Edmundo Sosa, Dombrowski is probably just like, yeah, you got to play him. You're going to have to play him, Thompson. So it hasn't been a bad decision here for the Phillies because he's been pretty damn solid for sure. Bradley Zimmer, again, a solid performance, 2 for 3. Can't really kill him here today. We'll see what the 10 days are almost up for Brandon Marsh. I haven't heard any word. He's been in the dugout. He's been cheering on. He looks healthy, looks good to go. But, we want to be safe with that knee, right? But for right now, Bradley Zimmer's been a solid body out there. Matty V just continuing to be just anything the Phillies really need. Whatever the Phillies need, they need to play him at third base. He'll do it. Play him at left. He's literally played everywhere in the outfield this entire year. You need him to pitch, he'll pitch. You need him to catch, he'll catch. You need him to bat boy, he'll bat boy. I'm obviously kidding. You get my point. Matty V has been a team player, and I just absolutely love it. I did put up that TikTok of who's watching the kids, right? And someone actually said, like, this dude really, and I'm quoting him, he literally said, this dude really put Matt Vierling in with Bryson Stott and Nick Maton. Yeah, yes, I did. Because the context, if you watch the game, was Matt Vierling got the game rolling on Tuesday night. And then you got the substitution Bryson Stott and the substitution Nick Maton. And that was the point of the TikTok. If you watch the game, how does that not make sense to you? But regardless, Nick Maton is not someone who has been considered as the future part of this baseball team. This dude needs to find a way to consistently stay up first off and consistently get some playing time. He's really not. He's been a bench piece of sorts. But Matt Vierling, you cannot deny the impact that he's had on this baseball team. I want to give love to Aaron Nola. He definitely deserves it. I know it's been a tough couple seasons for Aaron Nola. And I know there's been a lot of heavy criticism towards him, but he's really talented. Like, he's really, really talented. And I just feel like there is so much more to Aaron Nola. I truly feel like there are moments like tonight, and I know this is the Reds. I know we keep bringing this up. This is the Reds. But there are moments where I'm just looking at Aaron Nola's performance, and I'm just thinking to myself, this dude is an ace. I'm not kidding. I look at him and I think, this dude has the stuff to be an ace. The knuckle curveball was fantastic tonight. There was no one swinging at that bad boy here tonight. And he's still throwing heaters. He has an arsenal that is untouched by many. And obviously, let's get to the news. Obviously, we get before the game, literally like half an hour before the game, the news drops that Zach Wheeler is going to be out for 15 days. He's on the 15-day IL. He suffered a little bit of stiffness in his right forearm, and obviously that is his throwing arm. And so right now, Zach Wheeler will be out for the next 15 days. So we'll see what that means for the rotation. I think that there was a little bit of stiffness, and you obviously want to be cautious with it. And the way that Bailey Falter and Christopher Sanchez have been able to step up for you as that 6 or 7 starter, that lended Thompson to say, okay, Wheels, shut it down, just take some rest, We'll put you on the 15-day IL, and we'll be fine. All right, so just take a rest. And possibly now Aaron Nola took that and is like, okay, now I need to man the rotation for my guys. I need to be the man for this rotation because they need me. And so I think he took that, and you saw the performance he had here tonight. Now let's try to do that again in the next start as well. But we'll see what that fifth day means for the Phils. Obviously, you're probably going to go with Nola, Gibson, or probably Noah. I'm sorry, probably Nola, Ranger, Gibson, Syndergaard, and then either Falter or Sanchez. Obviously, right now, either or is not a bad option, but a great so far a performance by Mr. Aaron Nola. Great performance by Aaron Nola. That's what we love to see, man. He'll give you these every now and then. Remember the one where he broke Tom Seaver's record last year against the Mets? If only he could do that this year. It is what it is, guys. It is what it is. All right, so Wheels out for 15 days. That kind of is a bummer. Trying to find here who we got for. All right, I'm going to have to leave this page. Great win, guys. What a great win. Got to, take those wins as you can. And obviously right now you want to stay afloat of the division, which I'll at the end I will look at the what the Padres and the Brewers did. All right, so interesting that on Friday, and obviously it does help that you are going through an easier part of the schedule. I think a lot of the scheduling had to do with the Phillies shutting down Zach Wheeler. It just made sense. But on Friday night, Bailey Falter will go up on the mound. So Falter will get the first crack at it with the Pittsburgh Pirates as you gear up for a 3-game set this weekend in Philadelphia. Bryce Wilson will be the starting pitcher for the Pirates, for the Buccos. I don't believe we saw Bryce Wilson when we were there earlier in the August in that weekend set against Pittsburgh. So we'll see what that looks like here for the Pittsburgh Pirates. But the big news, the best news coming out of all this, Bryce Harper, as you guys have all been begging, he will be back here tonight. He's going to be activated here today before the Pirates game, and he will make his first return since that infamous Padres game in, what was that June, early June, or early July, I'm sorry. That's great news, guys. And this has been a long time coming. It's crazy when we look back at that moment when Bryce Harper went down. A lot of us thought to ourselves, season's over, trade the whole team. How are we going to replace Bryce Harper? But I really want to give kudos to this baseball team, and Rob Thompson in specific, because any team would just say, all right, season's over. We just lost our MVP. It's over. But this team rallied, and this team put themselves in a wild card spot, in the second wild card spot nonetheless. These guys weren't in a playoff spot when Bryce Harper went down. They elevated themselves into a playoff spot. And you love to see just the resiliency from this group. This team is different. This is not the same Phillies team, and that's why I'm feeling there's not going to be a September collapse. They have just shown things that we haven't seen in years past. Having a starting rotation that you can pretty much trust. These bats, obviously when fully healthy, like how do you stop this lineup when you have all that power? Now, obviously, the Mets are Mets, and that's a different animal. And right now, if you look at the way the division's going, the Braves are absolutely scorching hot. And there is a thought that they could actually catch up to the Mets. Could we possibly be looking at a first-round matchup with the Phillies and the Mets? I can't think about that too far ahead, but right now, let's get to the playoffs. Let's take care of business, and let's let the Mets and the Braves battle it out for whatever they want to do. But fun game. We get the sweep, 4 games in a row. We're not even going to bring up that Mets series. We're not even going to bring up the Mets again on this show. We're obviously going to bring up the Mets, but not like actually playing the Mets any past games in 2022. All right, so we'll be back at it again tonight. Again, 7:05 first pitch at CBP. Bryce Wilson versus Bailey Falter. Phillies win last night though, 4-0. And again, in the comments, guys, I'm still looking for a new, I guess what do you call it? Streaming service. My YouTube TV just expired. Not really crazy about YouTube TV. But just want something that I can watch all five of my Philly sports teams with recording. That's really all I ask. So in the comments, let me know what you guys use. I would love to hear your guys' feedback. But thank you so much for watching, guys. Make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe for more Philly sports. I'll see you guys later, and until next time, let's go Phils.